Hi, here we are. Going to do another indoors test of the oil burner. This time around we're going to try cooking some potatoes, a fairly cheap food. That way if I mess it up, I'm not too worried about that. And see inside here we got some paper, got a stick in there and a little bit of cardboard, and I'm just about ready to fire this up. And my father insisted, who's a retired firefighter, that I have more fire suppressant on hand. So in addition to my fire extinguisher and a thing of salt, I also have a bag of Morton's Sugar Cure that I had laying around, and that's mostly salt. So if I end up with a fire, I can try the salt. That don't do much good. Throw on this entire bag of Sugar Cure, and if that doesn't work, I got the fire extinguisher. I think I'm fairly well covered on fire suppression. So I'm going to cut, and I'm going to get this thing started, and we'll try to cook up some potatoes. Okay, the oil burner is started up. I only put a little bit of oil in here, because the more oil I put in, the larger the flame gets, because the more pressure through the system. So I'm going to start on a low flame, and we're going to try and cook some taters up. Here we go. And I'll let that warm up, and we'll come back in a little bit and see how our potatoes are doing. Yum, yum, yum. We're cooking potatoes in the exact same oil that's being used as fuel to make the flame to cook it. Isn't that cool? Alright, we'll come back in a bit. Okay, slight change to the setup. I had the bricks, I had one sitting flat and one the other way, and I found that there was just enough clearance if I laid them both down where the flame's sitting right on there. This is only like a minute after I cut, so we're back, and we've got the flame right on the bottom of this pan. So hopefully that'll help get these taters cooking. We'll come back once they're cooking. Well, you probably can't see it. Let me make sure I'm on, yeah, I'm on close focus. Yeah, I think you can see a little bit of bubbling going on there with the oil. I flipped these taters over. They aren't really brown yet. I flipped them over so I could season the other side of them. I put a little bit of salt and pepper on my home fried taters. But it's bubbling a little bit there, and so we're cooking with gas, or well, actually we're cooking with oil. And you can hear it flaming along under there. Doing real good. You can see kind of the red spots on the can there. I'm keeping a really, really, really close eye on this. The moment that I see anything untoward, I'm ready to unplug the system and throw salt on it and fire extinguisher, anything like that. So, safety first, that's for sure. But I want to do something to put a video up there, something that's interesting. And I find cooking something in the exact same kind of oil that you're making the fire with is very interesting. And any oil that's left over after I've cooked this will go right back into my used oil container. This is all oil that's already been in the system and might have a few pieces of ash and stuff like that in it. So yeah, anything left over will go right into that container, of course after it's full. I don't want to melt that plastic. But yeah, so it's going along real nice. Got some good bubbling action. I might need to turn these pretty soon, because it's definitely getting nice and hot. So I'll go ahead and cut, and we'll come back after I flip these and we've got a little bit of browning on the potatoes. Okay, we're about 20 minutes into cooking these potatoes. I don't know if anybody knows much about making really good pan-fried potatoes, but you got to get them nice and brown. And on one side I got a decent browning. On the other side it's starting to. I'd say I'd give it another 10 minutes or so and I'll have these all ready to heat up. I think one thing that I'd do to improve the process here is I think I used way too big of a pan. You know, I've got just that small amount of potatoes in this huge pan, and that flame source is pretty, it's not that it isn't powerful, but it covers such a small area of the pan that the best temperature is like right in the middle. And so the temperatures on the outside bits of oil aren't really high enough, so I have to keep kind of switching the position of the potatoes. But yeah, I think with a little bit smaller pan next time, I'll do pretty good. But it's definitely cooking up pretty good. We'll come back right as these are about to be done. Then I'll let them, let's get some of the oil off the potatoes, and we'll do a little taste test on my very first meal cooked with an oil burner. And of course, there's a bit of oil in there that'll all get recycled and used to make the next meal, I guess, or the next burn, whichever comes first. So yum yum, potatoes pretty soon. That should be pretty cool. Nice hot fire there, huh? Check that out. Oh yeah. We'll come back in a bit. You can see it bubbling up pretty good there on that oil. But yeah, we'll come back in a minute. I had one thought on using this oil burner. One thing that I've had a bit of a, maybe not a problem, but I just needed to find a solution for it, because every time I stop the burner, there's still oil in the line. And I don't know why I didn't think of it now, but whenever these potatoes are getting close to being done, I'm going to empty the reservoir and then let everything in the line finish cooking the potatoes. Similarly, if a room is starting to reach a temperature, oh sorry, I've got Battlestar Galactica playing over there. I need to turn that off. Similarly, if a room starts to reach a comfortable temperature, you could empty or cut off the reservoir in some way so that the remaining amount would finish off and get a room to the temperature that you wanted. So that's going to be one thing that I'm going to try this time around, is as soon as these potatoes I feel are right next to done, or actually not right next to done, but a little while before done, because I'm pretty sure that there's a lot in that line that'll keep burning. That way I don't have to empty the system, because usually what I have to do is empty the reservoir and then hang the whole apparatus from a string higher than this one that I've got now, and then let the nozzle that's inside of the burner drip all of the oil out into my my waste oil container. And that's kind of an inefficient system on how to do it. So this time around, I'm going to see what I can do with just emptying that out and letting it just finish off the burn. So that'll be an interesting thing, and I'll let you know about it and let you know if that worked out well. And in the future, if that doesn't work out, I'll try and come up with solutions to that, not exactly a problem, but that obstacle in evacuating the oil feeding system. So we'll cut and come back. Okay, the potatoes are nearly done. And one thing that I did was I emptied the container, as I said, and I actually put a small piece of wood in there, and it's just starting to try to ignite. And the reason why I did that was to kind of, I know that the oil has a very low pressure at this moment, but that piece of wood will be our main fuel source as we bleed off the last remaining bits of the oil. That way, the wood will be the main fuel source at the end of the burn, and the oil will be just a secondary ignition source. So that'll finish off our potatoes. They're pretty nice and crisp now. I like them nice and crispy, almost to the point to where they're like potato chips. So yeah, it's starting to ignite the piece of wood, and that'll continue to burn, and it'll help bleed off the last bits of the oil, and we'll see how that works out. So we'll come back and have ourselves some potatoes pretty soon. Okay, we're almost done with the burn. I'm not sure if you can see that. I can see it with the naked eye, but there's still a very small bit of flame inside there. I'll remove the cooking pan just so you can see it. It's kind of burning out the very last of what's in there. And instead of the normal route of putting potatoes on a paper towel or something, you can't see that too well. Let me try to bring it around. Whoops, shoot. I'm going to try and bring it into the light there. I've got all the potatoes kind of sitting against the edge of the pan so that the oil kind of comes off of them. That way I don't waste the oil, you know, by just throwing away paper towels. They just kind of sit against the edge of the pan, and some of that oil, I'll still use like paper towels to get some of the oil off of them, but this kind of, I'm trying to recover as much of that oil as possible, because any of that oil that's left over, it's going to go right back into my system and be used as fuel. So it's almost completely done now. I can still see a little bit of red there, and but we'll come back in a few minutes and do a taste test of our vegetable oil based cooker, which I guess it would be now, because before I was just calling it a heater, but right now it's actually acting as a cooker. So we'll do a taste test, and I can't wait. I bet they're yummy. Okay, so here we are outside. There is still some residual oil in the system. You can kind of see it dripping into there, but there's a lot less than there usually was in the system before, because that can be a problem. You know, you have all that extra oil sitting around and draining into the system. You can end up having excess oil inside of the combustion chamber. So that's something that I still need to work on. At the moment, this system works, you know, where I just take it outside and let it drip into here. It's just tied up. You know, it's just tied up to that, and then comes down, and all the excess can go into our waste oil container. Indoors right now, the potatoes are cooling a little bit, and the oil's kind of coming off of them so that I can reclaim as much as possible. But we'll let this do its thing, and I'll cut and go inside, and I'll use paper towels to kind of take away the excess oil from the potatoes, and then we'll do a quick taste test. Yum! Okay, so here we are. We've got our potatoes right there, all nice and fried up. We've got the system still draining. We've got our pan, which has some leftover oil, and we are going to take this excess oil from the pan. Let me put down the camera for a second and move the apparatus out of the way. Move the oil bottle over to here, and now this extra cooking oil is actually going to go right back into there. And that becomes fuel for the next fire. Now let's place that back in there, and let's try this little teeny one. Thumbs up on the potatoes. Tastes really good. Yeah, that's really good. I'm glad I made those. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, nice and crispy. Good old home-fried potatoes, cooked in the exact same oil that we used to make the flame to cook the potatoes. Really good stuff. Sorry, I'm sitting there chewing. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll keep everyone posted with videos on how this is going, or any further kind of green technologies that I'm doing. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.